My name is Anoop Agrawal, obviously, as you see, and I had a small group of engineers at Verizon, and we are focusing on virtual network services for enterprise customers. Right? And I'm basically going to talk about my experiences with that, and if I had to really quickly end this talk, I could just say, look at Saad's slide, right? And So, well, thanks for that, Roy. Let me first take you to my happy place, right? This is a picture I clicked in Cabo, Mexico, and it was 5:45 a.m. A beautiful, tranquil, calm atmosphere. Really, everything was very nice, except I had to get on a call with a customer in 15 minutes who was deploying our VNS services, right? And I'll just summarize it by saying that at the end of the call, my mind was not as tranquil at all, right? And as you've heard in various presentations, we are quickly starting to learn with virtual deployments that the tricks of the trade that we have learned over the last 20 years do not really apply one for one, right? So what's happening really? Again, if you want details behind the slide, go look at Saad's slide, right? I mean, this is just a summary of what he already said. But in a typical deployment that we do for a global customer, we have hundreds and hundreds of sites that we are trying to deploy. And we run into all of these variables. I mean, it's a mix of physical and virtual deployment, so it's mostly hybrid. We service chain multiple technologies from multiple vendors, and we talk about east-west interoperability, north-south APIs, et cetera, run into all of those issues with that. And then typically we offer deployment options based on custom demands, in the public cloud, in a private cloud, at a customer edge, and even when it comes to customer edge, Prayson talked about ADWA yesterday. We use ADWA for deployment at our customer's edge for our OpenStack OS. We also do purpose build. So it's a mix, and a lot of times it's all of them in the same deal, right? And then we, as Verizon, have to host our controllers, and we make choices too of hosting. We sometimes host it in our own public cloud, on our own private cloud. We sometimes try to host it in public clouds, and we have to make these choices based on SLAs, customer proximity, et cetera. So what it really boils down for us, then it becomes really a management challenge because our customers are still, if I use Saad's words, are enamored by the words like DevOps. So they absolutely want us to keep, current with all the versions of software that we're deploying, whether it be the application software or the OS itself. They want us to provide the flexibility and really bring the power of virtualization where they can control their services through APIs. Otherwise, there was really no need for us to transition into the virtual world. And of course, they also want us to bring closed-loop operations where we can recover when issues happen and really keep the service going, right? So when you add all of this, you can start to imagine the complexity that not only we deal with, but also that the customer then starts to get aware of and gets involved with. And do they really want to deal with that, right? As an operator, what they really expect from us is that, just be invisible, right? Just connect my customers, to my applications, right? And make this invisible, right? So now a lot goes into being invisible, right? So Amazon did it very well with the infrastructure layer, right? And we as an industry need to do that with the network, right? And so if you think about our customers, or at least Verizon's customers, and for a minute, they themselves are going through their own evolution. With the Industry 4.0, the lines between physical, virtual, and biological are actually merging, right, or disappearing. So that changes their consumer behaviors, and they have to be adaptive to their consumer, which then puts a demand on us to say that they really want simplicity from us. So it's not surprising. It shouldn't surprise all of us that that's the speed that they want. And Dan and Sad both talked about 5G. So 5G is going to, put more demands on us because now nobody's going to wait for a wireline connection to be set up on the enterprise side too. So it really helps us bring that agility, but we do have to solve all the problems that you mentioned, Sad. Right? Workforces and customers both are getting more and more mobile, which means that the applications have to be mobile too, and also context-driven. So again, it goes back to our customers really demanding the simplicity from us, right? So all the issues aside, at Verizon, we are starting to look at our strategy is trying to go towards an integrated ecosystem, right? So we have always looked at products and platforms and had processes around individual products, et cetera. But the customer really wants solutions from us. They want us to hide that complexity, and they want to be in a place where they can demand products from us, which means that I have to be able to stitch together technologies that interoperate and really serve the outcome that a customer is looking for, right? And that is where a value for us is, really. It's not really in bringing individual products, because most of our partners can bring individual products as well to the market. So one of the key enablers, apart from standardization that we absolutely have beaten to death today, is automation, right? And automation for us really is something that's embedded in every aspect of a customer's journey with us, right? So it starts from provisioning, where we really want to be able to take a customer's desired outcome and stitch together technologies and be able to interoperate it, and so that when we actually deliver the service, it is service ready. That means it is not only does it interoperate with each other from a technology perspective, but it's also monitored and assured to the SLAs that our customers demand, because ultimately that is what drives experience to their consumers, right? So obviously, one of the major things that helps us get there is that we already have established orchestration and closed loop assurance. Now, this is something that works in production today for us. We are deploying this where we've used Ericsson's orchestrator, and we have, it's a Mano-based orchestrator. We are orchestrating into public cloud, into private clouds, into customer edges. Now, having heard SAD, right, and it's not that everything is so smooth, but the idea is to get there with, and we are working with a lot of standard bodies as well to get there, right? Now, today we are able to, in a limited fashion, I should say, able to heal when VNFs actually go down. We are able to replace VNFs. We are able to add more resources to those VNFs as well. Now, what we cannot forget, though, is the cross-carrier network, right? And that's something that is still pretty much evolving. Mehmet, that a lot of you who are involved with MEF might know him. He's on my team, and we work very closely with MEF to define that. In fact, we did a POC last year where we worked with Colt for intercarrier exchange, and we were able to change policies, et cetera, on both the networks. Has it been 100% successful with all other operators? Absolutely not. That's where
What networks was it?
it's a private IP network, sir.
So one private IP network to another private.
Yes, sir. Yeah. All right. And then ultimately, from what our customers really care for is that our networks have to evolve and change based on their own needs, right? Which is where APIs and exposure come into picture. And it's our job to really not only expose those APIs to them, but also have a network that reacts to policy changes and configuration changes when our customers want to make that, right? So here is a reality check about all of this, right? So this is something that we are doing today. A lot of our customers actually order these configurations. And what we are doing is we have various deployment options, and sometimes all of these options are triggered in the same deal. So on the left, you see we have a UCP-based, universal CPE-based deployment, where we ship a white box to a customer's edge, or customer's premise, I should say, and are able to orchestrate a host of services, as you can see there. Similarly, we also choose, depending on the deployment option, we choose to host it on our global network as well, from Verizon's own data centers, and in a lot of cases, the public cloud as well. And what is underlying all of there is a global network that not only is with Verizon, but also we work with other carriers, as you know, and broadband players to for the transport. And we also have something called Secure Cloud Interconnect that helps connect customers' WAN into the public cloud through a private network. Right? Now, what really makes all of this work is the centralized orchestration and management platform that we have. Like I was mentioning before, we have hooked up this with service assurance, which allows me to not only automatically provision on all of these various hosting options, but also react to any issues that we have in the network. Whether it be a performance based issue or a fault issue, right? So, and that's both at a resource level and at a service level, right? I'm probably going to end up giving a lot of time back to the forum, but in summary, integrated ecosystem is where we are headed. That's our strategy, and some of the elements that help us get there are, first of all, end-to-end visibility. We need to always know what's going on in the network. That is the only way to ensure that we are able to give the outcome or provide the outcome to the customer, to our customers all the way. Similarly, automation is key, as we discussed in the previous slide. It goes across the journey of the customer, starts from not only provisioning, but ability for us to make changes in the network, react to issues, and that's where the real-time nature of the network comes in. I have to be able to react to the customer's changing needs, which means the customer makes changes, customer asks for new services, customer asks for the various deployment options. My network has to be real time to be able to accommodate those needs. And where we are evolving to is to try to make bring in AI and ML into the network. We're not there yet. We're trying to bring that in so that our networks become self-learning, are able to detect usage patterns, customer behaviors, and adjust based on everything else that we are building on top there towards a better outcome. And that's where stickiness and value for us really comes in with our customers. So thank you, and open for questions. Yes, sir.
What are the biggest challenges you face?
I think he asked, what are the biggest challenges?
What are the biggest challenges? You have a laundry list there.
And that is why I like Saad's presentation so much, because it kind of details a lot of challenges that we face. So when I talk about, let's say, an integrated ecosystem, right, what it really needs is that I should be able to get a customer who comes in and says, I need a firewall from Palo Alto, and I need a WAN optimization from Riverbed, which should all run with the Versa and on ADWA, right? If that's the kind of...
That's multiple technologies for multiple vendors and integrating multiple.
Exactly. So that I would say is if I had to rank that would be my number one issue, because not only do I have to make these technologies work together, I also have to maintain the performance levels that are needed and also be able to do this fast, right? So, yesterday some speakers talked about 18 to 24 months. Unfortunately, we're not that bad, but it's not 1 month or 15 days either. That is where we would like to go.
1 day to 15 days?
No, 15 days to 30 days max. Yeah.
Do you view that as a responsibility? Customers view it as to maintain those SLAs. Do you envision that team, an integration effort, growing substantially as you offer more vendors?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the nirvana where we started this journey is really an ability for us to change out the technologies, right, and abstract away the entire pain, if you will, that comes with it. But because of the many points that our speakers have made today, that's not yet possible, right? So we want to bring in more and more technologies into our forum, and more importantly, we want to really react to what our customers are asking for. It's very, very often that we go to a customer and the customer specifies exactly what technology they want and what vendor even that, and we absolutely accommodate that. But it would be so much easier if I could do this in 15 days and not more, right?
Can you charge more? Because you're taking on the load that the enterprises normally deal with, the IT side, integrating those appliances. Now they're making you do it. Can you charge more?
I don't think we can charge more for the service, but we do offer, which is a very popular service, management, right? So the service is assumed to be available, right? Nobody wants to pay for us to bring the service to them, but they do pay for us to manage and maintain the SLAs.
So if you make margins there, it's okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you talking about 15 to 30 days, how do you get the operational team ready for that challenge? Because they are typically in 6-month life cycle, so anything below 6 months they're not going to touch.
By reducing the role in it, right? So this is the whole automation, self-healing part that really comes in. And when we say service ready, what it really means is that operations becomes an exception rather than the rule, right? So today, that's not the case, unfortunately, where it's high touch. Right? We are trying to go, our previous presentations from my colleagues has called it zero touch. I change it to low touch because I don't know when we'll go to zero touch, but I really want to go to low touch, reduce, Saad, your presentation had some really interesting numbers, 30 to 40% and 50%. I completely agree with those. I mean, I'm glad I didn't see 100% in your slides, right? So my response to you is that by reducing the operations involvement, day-to-day involvement, and that's in the whole process of managing our network.
Right, but we know also we are in telecom space. We are, as you said, low touch. Some touch has to happen still.
Absolutely.
Right? So, do you really think we can apply DevOps to network operation center?
I think we are all trying to evolve to it, and there is no reason why we cannot, right? I mean, if IT has been able to do it for the last 10, 15 years, and if we are now moving to a software world, and I'm actually not even a network engineer, I'm really I'm an IT person, right? And I've been doing this in IT space for about 10 to 12 years now. So if IT can move there, which has its own variation, if you want to call it, right? It's just us transitioning to that new model. Now, everything that we talked about standardization has to come in for us to get there. But yeah, absolutely, we can get there, in my view at least.
Thank you. Anoop, comments. You just mentioned that in your slide that you, besides of the provisioning, you can also provide some QoS or monitoring or something like that. You just mentioned that. So is this also belong into the automation? What's the connection between these two functions? Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to repeat your question just so I think I from what I understood. So you're saying the automation, I talked about provisioning, I also talked about QoS, et cetera, and you're wondering how these come together? Yeah, it's basically what we're practicing right now, and we want to get into a little more of predictive way of working. But right now, orchestration is our automation engine, right? We are able to do day 0, day 1, and then day n configuration, but that's just setting up the service. But beyond that, what we're also doing is, as a part of orchestration, our assurance systems is notified every time a service comes up in real time. And assurance then knows to, both performance and from a fault perspective, know to start monitoring it right from the 0th minute of the service when it is up, right? And what we've done is once we've put policies in there, and this is a part that we need to make more dynamic, where even customers can put policies. That's the evolution. But right now we are putting policies in where we are reacting to a issue, whether it be a performance or a fault issue, and assurance hooks back into orchestration, right? Where orchestration understands what to do with a particular event, and then takes the appropriate action, right? So that's how we are kind of maintaining that continuity of SLAs.
So you use TCR, so you control TCR.
Sorry. it's very hard to hear you.
So use PCRF to control that. PCRF, you mean if in LTE or something like that, or you use some special functions.
Yeah, what's
Policy control and functions. Policy control, PCRF, PCEF. Yes.
Oh,
PCRF,
PCRF. Okay.
yes.
Well, so now we have a policy engine inside of our assurance system, which is not PCRF. PCRF, is typically used more in the mobile network. So, yeah, maybe I should clarify that. So, what I'm talking about here is our enterprise services, which is predominantly MPLS and broadband based and overlays. What we are now transitioning to is also bringing in the wireless technologies, leveraging 4G and 5G for private LTE and 5G as access, etc., right? And even 5G with SD-WAN. So we are evolving to that, and I don't know if PCRF is going to play a role in our policy, in the policy that we talked about yet, but my initial reaction is that it's probably going to be more a separate policy engine and not PCRF itself, right?
Anoop, this way, in the front. Great presentation.
Thank you.
You certainly know what your customer wants, and you described it very well in a very abstracted fashion.
Thank you.
You also have described how do you deliver what your customer wants. Then you mentioned your pain point, and that's what I want to touch on. Correct me if I'm wrong, that your pain point is actually presenting a portal OSS to the customers to give them an option of what services they want to select and request, or what exactly it is, because you're saying that you're having difficulty in your customers selecting a sort of a service catalog, let's say, so that they can order whatever they want, whenever they want. Am I correct in my understanding?
That's not really a pain point for us, really, because just to summarize, our pain points really come when I want to go from a couple of months of, getting a service. So there are two kinds of issues we can talk about. One is introducing a new service altogether, and that new service could come as something that we know that our customers want from our own research, or can come from a direct ask from a customer, right? So when that happens, I really want to go to a 15 days to 30 days cycle where I can introduce a brand new product or service, right? So that is a challenge. Our customers demanding or our customers being able to order with us really is not a challenge. I wish we could fulfill everything they asked for. So yeah, that and everything around standards and everything that we talked about to really get to a point where I can launch a service and then manage it in the most effective way, in a low touch way. That is our challenge, not really understanding or getting a customer's orders or even them selecting products so much right now.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.